We are now going to cross back to my colleague Samkele Maseko, who's standing by. Thanks very much, Samkele. What's happening where you are right now?
Well, as current things currently stand, various ministers, various members of parliament from all of the political parties represented in this sixth administration are getting ready to go through the red carpet this particular evening for the 2020 State of the Nation address to be delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa. But we're going to speak to one of, one may say, his staunch backers within the governing party and within the executive. That would be Minister in the Presidency, Jackson Mthembu, to further unpack to us on this particular door-to-door he had this morning, engaging with various citizens here in the Western Cape and in particular Cape Town. Minister, what are South Africans saying on the ground? What are they anticipating for the President to say this evening in the State of the Nation address?
The people of Mitchell's Plain have said to us they would like the President to say, how are we going to create jobs for many young people who are unemployed in that community. But secondly, they are saying to us, can we do better in fighting drugs and drugs cartels in that part of our country called Mitchell's Plain? So this is what we will raise with the President. But we know that the President will speak to how are we going to grow the economy. We know the President is going to speak to how are we going to create jobs for particularly our young people in our country. But again, President will speak to how do we ensure that the state has the necessary requisite capacity and ethical leadership to govern. So that these are the areas that, in my view, the President will focus on, including fighting crime and fighting corruption.
Mr. Mthembu, on the issue of societal ills, this may be an emotional topic for you, and I'm going to dwell specifically on it of drugs and substance abuse for children. You yourself have been through a sort of ordeal with one of your children and your son. Mr. Mthembu, is this government that you are serving in doing enough to get rid of social ills, drugs, particularly that those are ravaging young people? Since you have also been affected, are you doing enough?
Well, you'll understand, Maseko, that government alone cannot win on this war. This war needs the entirety of society, because these drug peddlers, our children who are in drugs, they're still in drugs by the way, are doing these things in our communities. Now, government can't have a policeman or woman for each and every citizen in this country. It just can't work. We don't have such a capacity. It needs community involvement. It needs involvement by the churches, our religious leaders. It also needs involvement by our various national non-governmental organizations, so that working together we are able to fight this scourge of drugs in our communities. It can't be a government matter alone. Government alone will not be able to win this war.
Mr. Mthembu, on this issue, I'd like to dwell on the issue of drugs because I'm a young person myself, and this particular scourge affects my age group. If a son of a politician is ravaged by the scourge, what then happens to someone who's in deep rural Eastern Cape, deep rural Mthembu in KwaZulu-Natal, who does not have someone of an economic stature that you may be to assist them to go to rehab and to re-engineer and re-kickstart their life? It basically places this country in a situation where there's no future with its youth ravaged by social ills. What is to be done?
Well, I know for a fact that the Department of Social Development has come with some innovations on this matter, which the Minister Lindiwe Zulu, will speak to. One of the issues is whether do we have enough rehabilitation centers to assist our young ones, even old people who are basically having difficulties with drug addiction. But you'll also know that those of us who are ministers, we are also human beings. We are also parents. We are therefore not immune from social ills that affect broader society. We are not an elite that is untouched by the various challenges that affect society. That's why we're affected. It's not only me. there are many other leaders on all political divides who are faced with a similar problem. Because those of us who can afford, our children are able to get some more money to go to school. Therefore, they also use this money to buy some drugs. They are also targeted because they know that these are children of people who are earning. Probably they come to school with some little rents that can then be used to deal and to get them hooked in these problems of drugs.
Mr. Mthembu, a very sensitive question. Have you given up in trying to get your son off this particular societal ill and scourge?
I've not given up. As you will know, many of us, including my family, we have done our best to take him to various rehabilitation centers throughout the country. Whether you talk of Durban, you talk of here in the Cape, whether you talk of the Transvaal, somewhere in Johannesburg, we have done everything we can, but we haven't given up, because every time we take our children to these rehabs, they come back and they relapse. So it's something that we must work on from time to time without giving up. I have not given up.
Mr. Mthembu, on the State of the Nation address, the economy of this country is in the doldrums. What is the president going to do, not say, do, to make sure this economy of this country grows again, as in the era of former President Thabo Mbeki? Our economy currently is growing at about 0.1, 0.2%. I stand to be corrected on that figure. But how do we implement and create jobs for poor South Africans?
That's one area that the president will touch in his State of the Nation address. How do we grow this economy? How do we work together to grow this economy? It can't be a government matter alone. That's why we are sitting at NEDLEC. Led by the president, we almost every month, once a week, we meet at NEDLEC with labor, with business, because people who have the capability to enhance the growth of the economy, who have the capability to invest in our country, who have the capability to even attract investment, is the private sector, working, of course, together with government and the labor and civil society. So we have started the ball rolling by meeting every month, once a first Monday of a beginning of a month, with labor, business, civil society and ourselves, looking at this issue. How do we grow the economy? How do we build jobs for our young people? It can't be government sitting in a corner looking at this issue without speaking to those that have the capability and capacity to invest and create jobs, and that is business. So far, we are quite confident that working with business, working with labor and civil society, we will be able, with time, because again, the economy is not like doing popcorns. You need to work on it expeditiously, patiently. We are quite confident that the president will be able to tell the nation today what it is that we are going to do to grow the economy. Secondly, what more are we going to do to ensure that our children have the necessary skills that are needed by the South African economy?
Thank you very much, Minister in the Presidency, Minister Jackson Mthembu, speaking about a very emotional issue of drug and substance abuse, which he has been affected by in his family, and going on to speak on issues of the economy which needs to be kick-started and which the president has said he will largely focus on in this State of the Nation address. But time for talk is over. South Africans are demanding action.
Very much, Samkele. I think you're right to put the question, what is the president going to do, not say? Thank you very much for that, my colleague there, Samkele Maseko. The ongoing drought is hitting the economy of Graaff-Reinet hard. The agriculture and tourism sectors are feeling the brunt of it. The town's main dam is 5% full after some rain last week, but their water woes have also